Thank you for joining me. Have a seat. Take the feet and cross them, and then draw the flesh of the buttocks out. Take your hands to the top of your thighs and press firmly down, and draw the flesh forward toward the knee, and then over, wrapping around the knee and down the shin, and then bring your palms together. Close your eyes. Take a big inhale. Connect with your breath. Breathing in through the two nostrils. Observing any stuck places. Feel free to breathe out through pursed lips. And then just take your right hand and slide it up. Bring the right index finger to the right nostril and take 5 breaths, big, long, deep inhalations, exhaling fully through that left side. So opening up the nasal passage. You may feel a little lightheaded, and that's okay. Five breaths, slide your right hand back down next to the left. Take a couple of breaths and just notice any change. Maybe one nostril feels a little bit more open. And then slide your left hand up. Take the left index finger, just press it gently against the left nostril. 5 big breaths here through the right. Sensing any difference on this side? Just clearing the mind, clearing the nasal passage, then slide your left hand down next to your right. And just take a few what we call recovery breaths here. Breathing nice and fully, really embracing, engaging, welcoming the breath. Preparing the body for some asana today. Press firmly into the 2 sit bones now and lift up right into the 2 thumb mounds that are resting right against the sternum. Draw the 2 tricep muscles down. Lengthen the skull upward and bring the chin in. Roll those shoulder blades down the back. Let the chest open. Let the breath help open the chest. Let that inhalation really feel like it's exposing the chest, stretching the 2 collarbones apart. And then let that exhale draw the shoulders down toward the hips. Soften the lips and the tongue. Feel a softness creep behind the eyes. And we'll chant 3 Oms here. Om. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharigasya chavayogena yopa karatam pravaram Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi Abahu Purushakaram Shankachakrasi Darinam Sahasrashir Samshwetam Prananami Patanjalim Hari Om. Bow your head towards your heart. Release your hands down. Lift your head and open your eyes. Great. So to start today, we'll stay in this Sukhasana position, but we'll go ahead and change the position of the feet here so that the other foot is in front. And again, just leaning to one side, draw the flesh of the buttocks out. Take your hands off to the side and feel like you're centering the spine. Feel like you're lining up the two thighs as a mirror image of each other. The chest is open, the shoulders are down, and then we're going to take the two arms and lift them up. And then just start to come forward here into a forward fold. Now you can go as close to the floor as you want, just walking your hands forward and just nice and slowly, taking it pretty slowly here in this seated forward bend. Now breathe into your back body. That's pretty much the area that's getting stretched here. Of course, the hips are getting stretched as well. So we want to invite the breath right into the back body and down into the glute area. Then walk your two hands over to one side. It doesn't matter which side. And again, breathing into the back body, down into that hip. And then walk back and over to the other side. And just extending, just crawling that hand forward. Descending the opposite thigh. And then come on back. Walk your hands in. Take your feet and recross them. Draw the flesh of the buttocks out. Find that symmetrical position of the body here. Pretty much looking and feeling that central axis here. Everything a mirror image from right to left. Take your hands off to the sides. Lift the two arms up on the inhale. And then again, just coming forward here slowly. Checking in as well with your low back as you move into this one. It's a great idea just to pay attention to anything that's going on there. And of course, listening to your body is always important. If you feel ready, you can soften and relax the thighs right where they attach into the hips. Then walk your hands over to one side. I'm just going to go to the other side first here. I'm going to walk one hand forward a little more. It's not too much of a twist. I'm not asking to twist the torso around here too much. It's really just leaning over here, but paying attention to that opposite hip, bringing it back down, bringing that thigh down where you can, and then walk your hands back and over to the other side. It helps to have something perhaps under your feet here. If you've got If you feel like the bony part of the ankle is digging into the mat, it's a little challenging to just fully release into the pose. And then come back to center, walk your hands back in, and then bring your feet flat on the ground, knees bent. Take the two arms up and big forward bend. Now I'm coming right through the two knees here. And I'm going to reach through and then take the outer edges of my feet. I'm just going to walk my heels forward a little bit here. I'm just going to lift the elbows now and bring them out and go a little bit further into that forward fold. Still having the feet a good amount apart. Bringing the chest forward. Bringing your shoulders away from the arms. Gazing straight down here. Then release your left arm. Take your right arm and bring it under the right thigh. And then lift the foot off the ground here. And then hold on with the left foot and bring the foot in toward the face. Now at this point, you can extend that left leg out in front. Just giving yourself a nice deep hip stretch here. Breathing into the back body again, where as you stretch the hip, you're stretching the back muscles here. So the big breath is very, very key. Supporting the pose, supporting the body in the pose with the breath. And take that right foot and reach it over the left leg. And we're going to lift the chest strongly up, bring your shoulders strongly down, and take your left arm and wrap it around the top of the shin. Push your left heel forward as you twist to your right. This is a twist. Twisting away from that knee, drawing the knee in line with the lower knee, and beginning perhaps to feel like this right glute is also stretching. And then lift that foot. Take your left hand to the foot again. Slide your right arm through. And we'll hold this for a few more breaths right here. You can lift that knee a little higher maybe and bring it up just a little bit higher if you like. Close your eyes for a couple of breaths and pay attention to the sensing body. What are you feeling as you inhale here? Where are you feeling it? Just go ahead and make circles right in front with your face as if you're drawing circles with your nose here. Just paying attention now to the neck. Slow it down. And then circle the other way, just a few more. And then release, set the foot down, bend both knees. Inhale the two arms up. Exhale, bring the arms forward. You're just going to hold it here for a few breaths. Hands to the feet again and breathing into your back body. Back into that symmetrical shape. Then we're going to take the left arm and slide it under. And we're going to lift, we're going to keep this right knee bent for now. Lift the left foot. And then bring the foot in. Take your right hand to the foot and bring it in toward your face here. Maybe even touch your nose to your toe. I don't know. You know, like babies do, right? It's a very cute thing. You see a little baby with their tongue in their mouth. It's very adorable. Now at this point, we can extend the right leg right here. A couple more breaths here into the back body. Just sensing the breath and how it's penetrating from within and helping to expand the body from within. Now we're going to cross that left foot over the right. We're going to press down into the shin and lift the torso up. Redefine the spine, the central axis. And then take your right arm and wrap it around the shin, around the top of the shin, and twist to your left. Pressing through that heel, moving that right heel forward, trying to get a little bit more length in that leg there as you turn away from it. And again, feeling the stretch now also in the hip here. Bringing that knee in so it's literally in line with the right knee. As you exhale, you can pull the navel in and turn a little more maybe. Let's get a little more movement in the spine this way. Beautiful, good. Come on back, lift your foot. Go ahead and take that left arm under one more time. And we'll take this pose, perhaps go a little further by bringing that left knee up and closer over your shoulder like this. And then release. This time we're going to extend the two legs and sit in Dandasana. Press through the heels. Draw the shoulders down. Take your left arm up. Bring it over the head. And just take the head over to the left here. Take your hand a little further back in the skull. Let the fingers drag up a little bit, up the top part of the neck and into the right side of the skull there. Turn your chin in toward the left. Bring your fingers right into that area at the base of the skull. And then release. Take your right arm up, bring it over, and head over to the side here. I want to keep this left arm and shoulder nice and relaxed. I'm going to turn the chin in slightly, so I'll change the position of the fingers here on the neck, just drawing that muscle that I'm feeling a little tight there. That goes right up into the skull. Turn your chin in. And as you turn the chin in toward the right, you want to accommodate with your hand there and find the muscle again and just drag your fingers into it a little bit just to soften and release that muscle. And then release all the way down. We're going to take a couple of blocks for our next series here. So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to take the two blocks, one in front of the other. I have the higher setting on the back block. I have the lower setting on the front block. This is for my thoracic spine. Now there's a little bevel here. There's like a little flat edge on the block. I literally want to put my thoracic spine there. Which part of the thoracic spine? Well, it's quite low down. So I'm going to start off by coming down onto the elbows. And I'm probably going to have to reach back and bring that block into the spot that I want. So it's low thoracic. So it's about probably T10 or something like that, around there. And then I'm just going to slowly lay that part of my spine down on the block. I want to make sure that the block is directly pointing back because I want my shoulders to be balanced. And then I'm going to bring my head down, and I may need to reach back and set the block right at the base of the skull there. Pretty much close to where you had your hand in that neck stretch. And then I'm going to bring my arms over the head. And again, deep breathing. Feel your shoulder blades draw down the sides of the block there. Knees are bent. Allowing the chest to open, giving the chest that support to open even more. Thoracic spine and chest work collaboratively. So we work the thoracic spine in a specific way to open the chest. Take hand to elbow here. See how that feels. It may feel a little tightness at the top of the shoulders. See if you can tolerate that. Change the position of the arm, the other one on top. Then take your right leg and extend it out in front. Take your left leg, extend that out in front. Flex your heels, press through the heels. And then take the two elbows and draw them away from the torso. So you're feeling a little bit of a stretch in the front part of the torso here, right up into the ribs. Maybe the abdomen feels like it's stretching. Good, release your arms and extend them over the head again. Interlock your fingers this time and turn your palms back. Press through the two hands. Now notice if one arm is tighter than the other. This can very well be the case, and it's a great way of understanding how the right or the left is feeling a little bit more tight than the other. Change the interlock of the fingers and do the same, turning the palms back. So I notice I'm right dominant, so I notice my right arm is a little tighter in certain areas, particularly close to the elbow, and then again closer to the shoulder. So I want to take a little extra time there just to see if I can sort of iron some of that tightness out just by stretching. I'm stretching and aligning here, so the joints of the arm all lined up. Then release your two arms, bring them back to the sides, and just relax for a few moments. And breathe, and just let the blocks and your body sort of work together here. With the breath, of course. Bend your left knee, lift your right foot, and cross the right foot over the left thigh. Then lift your head away from the block, and now take hold of that crossed over foot and lift the left foot off the ground. You can go ahead and extend that left leg if you'd like, and if you can, bring your hand to the left calf. Bring your head back down. Notice what's happened. Lifting the leg like this has shortened the upper body, has shortened parts of the spine. Lift your head again. Shoulders down. And then see if you can lengthen through the back of the neck and bring the skull back down onto the block. Then set your left foot back down. Release the hands and uncross the foot. And 2 knees bent here. I'm going to lift the left leg now. Left foot is going to cross over the right thigh. I'm going to take hold of that foot with my right hand. Stay here for a few breaths. Good. Then lift your left foot off the ground. Lift your head. Look toward that. Lift your right foot off the ground, sorry. Lift your right leg up and take your left hand to the inside of that right leg, around the calf, and then see if you could just bring the head back down. You'll notice there's a lot of balance going on here in this. And remember, balance comes in waves. It's not something that's necessarily consistent. So don't be put off by one day you're balancing, the next day you're not. That's how it works. Your body is gaining intelligence. It's learning. It's absorbing. Lift your head again. Bring that right leg in a little closer, deepening the stretch in the left hip, and then release the foot, uncross, set the foot down, bring your head back down onto the block, and just relax for a few breaths. Re-engaging the breath here. We have a tendency to hold the breath or stifle the breath when we're in a challenging pose. Try to just bring your attention back to the breath and make sure that the breath is part of the pose. Now I'm going to lift the head and push myself up. From here, I'm going to sit on the 2 sit bones. I'm going to take Navasana next. To take Navasana, I lift the chest. I bring my shoulders down. You can roll the shoulders a few times here. Bring those shoulders down and then lift the feet off the ground. Lift. If you'd like to extend the legs all the way, you may. Think about your head in line with your tailbone. Think about your heels in line with your tailbone. So it's basically 2 long lines culminating at the tailbone. Then bend your knees in towards your chest and take your 2 arms off to the right. Lift your chest again. Open that right arm. And let your gaze follow that arm. And then come back. Take your hands behind the knees, lift up, reestablish the position of the spine, and then take your 2 hands off to the left. Take your left arm and open it. Let the gaze follow. And then come back and straight legs one more time. Look up. Connect the dots, head to tailbone, toes to tailbone. And then bring the feet back down. And then turn your 2 knees off to the right. So we're going to sit on the right hip here for a moment. I'm going to extend my 2 legs now and you can either bring the left foot on top, or you could step that left foot forward. I'm going to bring my right hand in line with my right hip. So there is a strong axis here running from the hand to the foot here. I'm going to now lift up and take that left arm up. And if you want, you can stack that left foot on top, or you could keep the left foot slightly forward. Then we're going to take that left foot and bring it forward here. I'm keeping the right edge of my foot here on the mat. So I'm literally on the edge of the foot, and I'm starting to feel that nice stretch in the left glute. Take your left hand down next to your right and feel like your upper body is in plank and your lower body is doing something completely different. And then take your left foot back and one more time, just open that left arm up and then release, take downward facing dog. And then bring your knees down. We're going to now come onto the left hip. And from here, extending the two legs and feet, stacking the feet, and just checking that alignment. Hand, hip, foot. And then from here, you can lift up. And if you want to bring that arm up, and feel free to step that right foot forward if you'd like. Open your chest. Then take that right foot, step it forward. You may need several steps to get there. Notice the toes are pointing in the same direction. Right and left foot here. You can open the arm or just take the hand on the thigh here. Getting a nice deep stretch here. Then I'm going to take my right hand and bring it down. There's a little twist of the torso here, obviously. Staying on the blade of that back foot. Then step your right foot back. Lift your right arm up. Then bring the hand back down and come to downward facing dog. Step your feet a little bit further forward maybe so that you can get a really nice stretch through the back of the legs. Then take your right foot and step it forward and come to a lunge. Take your left knee down onto the floor and point your toes back. Take your hands to your hips. You can go ahead and lift up for a moment so you really get the sense of where the hips want to move. So hands on the top of the buttocks here. And now I'm just going to gently press down as I move the hip forward toward that front heel. Opening the chest. Just allowing the left groin to stretch a little bit here. Take your hands to the floor and lift your back knee and push back to downward facing dog. And again, just set your feet so that the position of the feet actually suit your body in the pose. So it's not one size fits all here. It's really custom. Press into the mounds of the fingers and lift your left foot and step it forward. Bring your right knee down. Go ahead and come up so you can come up to this sort of right angle position of that left leg, and then take your hands to the top part of the buttock. Now, one of the reasons I do this is just to so that I can feel space here in that lumbar region. So I'm very conscious of that as I move the hips forward and lower that right thigh. So I'm getting a nice deep stretch now in the groin, but I'm also paying attention to my low back and enjoying that space that I'm getting here from the hands on the hips. Chest open, breath strong. Go a little further if you'd like. And then bring your hands back down and step back to downward facing dog. Again, just setting your feet where you need them to be. Rule of thumb is feet are about hip distance apart, hands are about shoulder distance apart. Bring the two knees down onto the floor, and then inhale, lift the two arms up, and then take the right hand and reach it back towards your right heel. Leaning off to the right here, draw that left arm even further back. Think about your hand right on the buttock there, the top of the buttock. That's the same action as before. Now see if you can turn your gaze down toward that right shoulder. And then take your right hand across to the left heel if you can. A little bit more of a twist now. This is a low spine twist. So you don't want to go too far too quickly. Good. Bring that right arm back up. Bring the two arms down. Take your hands to the floor and take downward dog. And this is a few breaths here in down dog. And what I want to try to do is just lengthen my low back again. And then bring the two knees back down. Inhale the two arms up. Take that left hand now and bring it back towards your left heel. Let the right arm open. Your gaze is to the left. And I'm sensing my hand on the top of the buttock. And I'm breathing right into the low back area. Turn your gaze down toward that left shoulder. And then see if you could bring that left hand toward the right heel. So you're just twisting a tiny bit more. Let that arm reach back a little more, that right arm, so you can open the side of the chest here. Let your head come back. Oh, good. Inhale, come up. And exhale, bring your two hands back down. And again, we're going to take the downward dog really as a counter pose to stretch out the low back here. Might take a few extra deep breaths in this one. Lift your right foot and step it forward to a lunge. Now take that left heel and bring it down. But notice what happens to the right hip. The tendency is to throw it out a little too far. So just be careful that you don't do that. You want to think more about taking the outer part of the hip back rather than throwing it out to the side. We want to keep the alignment here, and it's a very narrow sort of alleyway we want to fit our bodies into. We're going to come up here into the warrior one pose. So I have this right knee at a right angle or thereabouts, and then I'm going to lift the two arms up, open the chest, press into the outer edge of the back foot. Play with the position of the head for a moment. You can lift the head and then look forward, lift the head and then look forward, and find that happy place for your neck, shoulder blades down, and then extend forward through the two hands, walk your foot back, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here, downward dog. Drawing those hips back. So just like the Navasana pose, we're connecting the dots through the tailbone. So the tailbone to heel, tailbone to head, creating that upside down V. And now lift your left foot and bring it forward. Take your right heel, turn it down. When I bring that heel down, I want it to be a little further back than my toes. And then I'm going to come up and find that right angle here. Now I want to not open the body in Warrior 2. I want to turn the body toward the front knee. That's Warrior 1. I'm pressing into the outer edge of the back foot, and I'm going to lift up and strong back leg. That back leg is really your anchor in this pose. Breathe. Find the happy position for your head. And then exhale, extend forward and step back. One more time into downward facing dog. And then bend your knees. Point your toes back. Lower your hips. And then we're going to just walk our hands back toward the heels here. Lift your head for a moment and then tuck the chin in toward the chest and see if you could just bring the top of the head down. And you're going to let the spine round a bit here. But the breath goes in there from the inside, really trying to stretch the area around the spine from within. Let your elbows come out a little bit and pull your heels in towards you a little bit more. Lift your head, look forward, come all the way up. Press your fists into your feet and then lift your hips up, pressing the fists into the soles of the feet. Feels good against the sole of the foot. Give a little massage there to the foot and then come back down. Come forward again into that rabbit position, tucking the chin, rounding the spine. Couple of breaths. Letting your elbows come out a little bit. We don't want to tighten up the back muscles here for this one. We want to relax them so the breath can really find its way. And then lift your head, come back up to Virasana, push down into the soles of the foot. If you can get right on the ball of the foot with those knuckles, it's really nice. Lift up, push down, lift up, push down. Head back, chest open. Couple of breaths. And then hips down, hands forward. We're going to take the two hands, we're going to take a block between the two hands. So I'm going to put the block here like I'm framing the block with my thumb and index finger. And I don't want my elbows too far apart here. I want to keep them in line with the hands. So just be aware of that. Curl your toes under, lift up, and try to bring your shoulders into the body to move the hips back. We want to bring more effort into the legs here if we can. And if we don't do that, we slump forward and, just create more roundedness in that upper back. So we want to try to correct that. Bringing those forearms down into the floor. Moving the shoulder blades into the body. Finding that thoracic spine again, moving it toward the heart. Heels lower, legs engaged, come back down. Take your block and bring it between the knees here, between the thighs rather. Walk the thighs in closer together. This time we'll take it interlocking the fingers in front and curling your toes under. We'll take the dolphin now with the block and push the block back. So it's all about the legs here. My arms are really creating that space for the shoulders to move into the body. And then the legs take over with the block and move even further back. And then come back down. Point your toes back. I'm going to take child's pose here. And this just to give yourself a little break. We've been flowing through the poses a little bit quickly, so big breaths. Good, we're going to come up and we're going to take our strap. So we'll make a loop in the strap. If you don't have your strap, you grab a tie or a bathrobe belt. You have to tie it to make a loop, but look, I'm gonna make my loop and it's a very small loop. You know, I want to make sure that I have the strap so it's not twisted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the loop around my right foot here. Over the head. I'm going to stand up on my knees, walk my arms up over the head and start to lift that left foot by just drawing my hands down the strap and opening the chest. Now, once I find that tension, you'll find it, I'm going to try to straighten the arms and look up. Open my chest, let the head come back toward the strap. And then release. Go ahead and take the loop and bring it over to the left side. Around that left foot. Up and over the shoulder. Hands up. I'm going to lift the foot by walking the hands down the strap. So it's just inch by inch really. And then I'm going to straighten the arms as my chest opens. I'm breathing into those back ribs now, trying to get some space right into that kidney band. Head is back. And release. Okay, so bring the strap back onto your right foot, same thing, same loop. Over the shoulder. And now we're going to come down onto the floor. So just laying the body down, face down. And again, we're going to do something very similar, this time with the left leg straightened. We're going to bring the hands over the head and just walk the hands down the strap. Bring the heel in pretty close if you can to the buttock. And then lift your elbows, lift your leg and open the chest. Again, it's that kidney band area, bottom back ribs. Good, release. So I'm just going to bend the knee here and see if I can just move the strap from the right foot over to the left. More challenging than not, perhaps. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and come into that same pose on the second side. So just making sure you have a secure loop around the foot. Take your elbows forward, walk your hands down the strap, lift the elbows, open the chest, attempt to straighten the arms, look up. And release. Go ahead and extend the two legs out, bring your head down, arms forward, and just breathe. Now, from here, nice and slowly, we're going to press our hands into the floor, into the mat, push up, bend your knees, and slowly bring your hips back towards your heels. And keep the arms forward, keep the hands planted, and just take a stretch in that low back. Good, inhale, come up, and you can take the strap away. And we're gonna just turn around and lie down here on our backs. I want to immediately feel that soothing connection between the back body and the ground. Inviting that connection. Noticing your heart rate. Take your hands one at a time on top of each other on the heart. Now walk your heels in towards your hips. Curl your tailbone under and start to lift, lift, lift. Once you get to the heart lifting, you're going to take your hands by the sides and interlock your fingers underneath. Roll to one side, tuck the shoulder, roll to the other, tuck the other shoulder under. So you're really not on the spine at all. You're on the back of the skull and the feet and the arms, and that's it. So your spine is actually completely elevated. Now try to create more of a dome in the front upper body. And it comes with the spreading of the collarbones and the bowing down of the outer edges of the collarbones toward the floor. Now push into the floor with your feet. And then release your arms and slowly lower your spine down. All right, I'm going to take my block now and bring the block between the knees here, just a little bit lower than the knees. Lift your feet and grab your ankles and bring them in a little closer to the hips, and then lift up again slowly, and then interlock your fingers again. Do the same thing, tucking the arms and shoulders way under, and then lift up. Squeeze the block. Now when we squeeze into the block, we're really squeezing a lot of the core muscles in the body. So we want that. That's strengthening. Now walk your feet in a little closer and lift up. You're getting into that high bridge. Good. Release the arms. Lower the spine down. Roll onto your belly. Back onto the belly. This time, bend your knees and take your hands back. I'm going to bend the elbows, keep the head down, and bring the heels in toward the buttock. Walk your hands up the foot toward the toes a little bit. Bring the elbows in toward each other. Now lift your head. Look slightly forward. And then push into the hands with the feet and open the chest, lift the legs. Dhanurasana. Again, play with the position of the head, but then find that sort of neutral place where the neck feels good, the head feels like it's in the right position, and then lower the hips back down. Just going to take my hands straight back, palms face up, relax. I'll lift my feet again. Now this time I'm going to cross my feet. So I'm going to take the pose with crossed feet. The head is down. And just getting that deep stretch now in the quads. This time we're getting a little bit more of the inner quad with the legs, feet crossed. Then again, push into the hands. Lift the chest, lift the knees, and then release. And bring, notice how your feet are crossed. Okay, so make sure that you remember that. Extend the legs for a moment, because you're going to have to cross the other way. And then let's do that. Take your feet and cross them the opposite way. Reach back with your hands. Start off just by bringing the heels in and identifying the stretch in the inner part of the quad here. Then lift your knees and push into the hands to straighten the arms, open the chest. And then release and uncross and just let go for a few breaths. This time just take your hands forward, one on top of the other, and put your forehead on your hand. I'm going to take my blanket here and bring it in toward my mat, so I have access to the blanket as I take the right arm off to the side. I'm going to lean into that right arm and come onto the side of the body and just take that foot and bring it across, that left foot. Good. Now lift your left hand and bring it over, and you can bend the elbows to get here, and just take the hand to hand. And then straighten the arms again. Turn your head slightly to accommodate the turning of the body. And then release the left hand. Slowly come back. You got a deep stretch now in that right collarbone. And then we'll go into the other side. I'm just going to turn around, but you don't have to. And again, I'm positioning my blanket so it's going to accommodate my head here. I'll take the left arm out to the side, and then I'll roll onto the left side, bring the right foot across, and you just stop here for a few breaths. Then lift your right arm up. You can go ahead and bend the elbows a little. Try to straighten the arms then once you get that. Try to bring that right foot flat on the ground, so you're not just on the inside of the foot. The chest opens, the head is supported. You feel that left collarbone. Beautiful, good. Release the arm, bring the hand back, and then uncross the foot and just come back. Put your forehead on the blanket. Let your elbows come out to the side. Forearms pointing forward. And try to relax everything for a few breaths. Particularly the shoulders, upper spine. Good, I'm going to roll back over onto my back. I'm going to lie down. I don't really need the blanket for this one. I'm going to bend the knees out to the side, and I'm going to take bridge now from this Supta Baddha Konasana position and bring the heels in. I'm going to bring my hands to the sides and I'm going to lift the hips up and interlock the fingers. I'm going to roll, tucking the shoulders and arms under. And I bring the knees out as I lift the chest and the hips up. Quite a powerful pose, very open. Use those arms, press the feet into each other, take the knees apart, and then lower the hips, release the arms, and set the 2 feet flat on the ground. I'm going to bring my left leg forward and my right knee in. I'm just going to hug the knee in. I'm not going to do anything more. I'm just going to circle that knee a little bit here. And checking in now with my low back on that right side. So right where the low back and the hip become friends. Good. I'm going to extend that right leg now and bring the left knee in and do the same on that left side. It's a very minimal amount of rotation here that I want. Set your foot back down. So we have some options here for our next pose. So we can start with the block, which we're going to do anyway, but anyway, we'll start with the block here. We're going to walk the feet in, going to take the block and lift it on the higher position and set the block so that the narrow end of the block is along the tailbone. So you're in supported bridge. It's very nice because you don't have to work to lift the body away from the floor. It's already lifted. I'm going to lift my hips now and take the block and turn it on its side and down. So it's on the middle setting and it's on its side. You want to make sure that the block is literally supporting the sacral band here. Now, I'm going to take my arms over the head. Turn the fingers toward the shoulders. Now, any amount that you can lift off the ground is great. So you're going to lift your hips off the ground. And then set the hips back down, off the block. Set the hips back down on the block. And then lift onto the top of your head, lift your hips, and then lift all the way up into Urdhva Dhanurasana. And then release back down. And you may find that the block is in a completely different position. That's okay. And you'll come back up and remove the block. Lay back down. Now, if that's a struggle for you, because it can be, especially for those of us who have less upper body strength, you want to go back and do the bridge pose where you can and work from there. You also can turn around and do Dhanurasana. So it's the reverse of this. You're on your belly, just as we did before. We're going to try the Urdhva Dhanurasana one more time. Another great way of doing it is to bring your hands against a wall. So hands touch the floor, thumb and index finger against the wall, so right on the baseboard. And that does give you a lot of extra assistance in lifting up and also staying up for a little bit longer. Those of us who want to go into the urdhva would take the heels in. I have the feet about hip distance apart. I'm going to take my hands over the head again. I'm going to bring my fingers toward my shoulders. I'm going to lift the hips on the inhale and then exhale. Press into the floor, and your next inhale, lift off the head and set the top of the head on your mat. And then up you go. You may lift the heels or keep them down. Oh. Try to straighten the arms. And then head back down. And you're just going to slowly move your way back down onto the floor. Now, it's very tempting, isn't it, to just bring those knees into the chest. But I don't want to do that. Not after that intense back bend. I want to keep my knees bent, but I want to keep my feet on the ground. And it's much more of a slow release of the low back rather than an immediate stretching of it. Extend your right leg out in front. I've really moved a long ways off my mat here. Extend your right leg out in front. Bring your block. Where is my block? I know I have two of them somewhere. There they are. Bring your block over to your right. I have the block about hip level. I'm going to take the left knee and bring it across and onto the block. Put your hand on that left thigh and then bend your right knee and take your left hand to your heel or your foot and bring the knee back onto your mat. And then lower your left shoulder. Just allowing your breath here now to come back to a sort of more regular rhythm. Release your right foot, lift your left knee and roll back. Bring both feet on the ground and maybe, reestablish the position of the hips. They may have moved out. So the starting point is symmetrical. Extend your left leg out, bring your block over. Take your right knee across. You can just keep your hand there on the outer part of the thigh. And then bend your left knee, reach with your hand. You want to bring that knee in line with my spine pretty much. And then open the chest and lower that right shoulder wherever you can. And then release it. Walk that right knee back. Reset. You'll notice, don't do anything, but you'll notice your hips are a little off. So reset them. And then just keeping the knees bent, drop the knees in toward each other and completely let go just for a few breaths here. I'm going to slide my blanket now under my head, and I'm going to take my legs and extend them out in front. Now, if it feels better for you to elevate your legs, you can put your legs up on a chair with the knees bent, or you could raise your legs against a wall with your hips quite close to the wall. So you can decide
what feels right for you at this moment is the right choice. Otherwise, classic Shavasana, bringing your attention one more time back to your breath, this time just noticing. What is active in this pose is really just your observation, your sensing body. So the volume is turned way down. And I want the mind to start to also turn down the volume. Breathing that new energy into your body as you inhale. And sending that old energy out as you exhale. And every exhalation is a prompt to let go a little bit more. Bend your knees. Roll onto your side. Come on up and cross your feet. I always like to do the same thing in Sukhasana. Drawing the flesh of the buttocks out. Inhale, take the two arms up. Look up toward your hands on the inhale. And as you exhale, just letting the hands come past the gaze and down to the heart center. Namaste. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to